My name is Lisa Dabek. I'm a senior conservation scientist at the Woodland Park Zoo, and I'm the senior director and founder of the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program in Papua New Guinea.
Hello, I'm John Rossi. I'm a touring drummer with a passion for animal conservation. When I'm on the road, I spend as much time as possible visiting zoos, aquariums, and conservation organizations. Now, I want to share those places with you. I'll be talking to keepers, vets, conservationists, anyone who can help me in my mission of connecting my people to animals through their people. Join me on my Rossifari. Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back to the Rossifari podcast, now featuring homework. All right, y'all, so here's the deal. Today's episode is with Dr. Lisa Dabek, one of my absolute conservation heroes. Lisa works at Woodland Park Zoo and is also the person who created the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program. And you're going to hear about all that kind of stuff. And we talk about, tree kangaroos and the new exhibit that's opening soon at Woodland Park Zoo that features tree kangaroos and red pandas. And of course, we talk about plush tree kangaroos for like 10 minutes because that's what nerds do when they get together. But the main takeaway from this episode should be the amazing work that Lisa and the TKCP do, as well as Safe Tree Kangaroo and, of course, the team at Woodland Park Zoo. And the reason I want you to be excited about that is because I have nominated the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program for the Project for Awesome. Now, this was an idea that was brought to me by my good friend, Dr. Diana Coster, who you guys heard on here recently, who's at Cleveland Metro Park Zoo and who really helped me get involved with Safe Tree Kangaroo. And we wrote the script together, and then I put the video together, and we have now nominated the TKCP for Project for Awesome. And if you don't know what that is, it's a great way to go and raise awareness about charities and to hopefully, if they get enough votes, get them some grant money. And so I'm going to be posting on my socials and on the Safe Tree Kangaroo socials and anywhere else that we can get anyone to post anything about it. From today, the day this episode drops, which is Tuesday, February 10th, through the 18th of February, you can go and vote for the TKCP and maybe help get some money to help save tree kangaroos. It's a totally legit, totally cool thing. You do have to sign up with your email address for an account. You can only vote once for an organization, though if you have more than one email address, arguably you could vote multiple times. I'm just saying. But to go along with this, it's not enough to just try to help out this incredible organization. So I'm going to be doing a fundraiser directly for the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program as well, and I will have all of those links on my socials as well. But it is going to be a raffle-style fundraiser, and you can get a free entrance to the raffle by proving to me that you voted for the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program on the Project for Awesome page. Now, as I'm recording this, the day before voting goes live, I have to be honest and say that the Project for Awesome page doesn't do a great job explaining all of the details on how you vote and where to go and all of that, which is why I'm saying it will all be on my socials. But once I have that all figured out tomorrow, then I'll start posting this stuff and you can do this. And as far as the prizes, there are a lot of cool things that I'm going to be including in the prize draw. But, I'm going to wait till the end of the episode to tell you about the special one because you're going to hear about it in the episode. So with all of that said, it is time to get to it. So here's my interview with truly one of my heroes in life, Dr. Lisa Dabek of the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program and Woodland Park Zoo. I'm just going to say it. Anyone who's listening and knows me knows this. You are a true conservation hero to me. I love the work you do. I love tree kangaroos. And then over the last couple of months, we've worked together and become friends. And it turns out that you're just as funny and humble as you are good at conservation. So good job. Proud of you.
Well, it was very fun to get to know you at the Tree Kangaroo workshop. That was great.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I enjoyed that workshop very much. And of course, we were supposed to do this interview there, but someone was busy from morning to night every single day. Yeah, and it wasn't me, I'm just saying.
All right, guilty.
That was a lot of fun, though. So there's so much to talk about. You do so much. But since we are zoo focused, I want to start off by talking about Woodland Park Zoo. I love it. I haven't been there in many years, but man, it's the first place I ever got to see a tree kangaroo like behind the scenes. I was going to meet the red pandas behind the scenes at the time, and we had to walk right past tree kangaroos, and my heart was just so happy. And so tell me about your career there and like even how you got started there and all of that.
Great. Happy to talk about it. But what I want to say first is come May 2026, so this May, we are opening a new exhibit that will actually feature your two favorites, red pandas and tree kangaroos. And that's kind of a dream for me to have them next to each other. The two. So anyway, you'll have to come back to Seattle and visit Woodland Park Zoo.
I think we need to figure out a chance for me to come out and like do some press for the opening, honestly. Like we should talk to your PR people, you know?
Absolutely. And I was talking with some of our Devo, fundraising people and PR. So absolutely, let's make that happen.
Sounds great. Cool. Yeah. But anyway, yes, tell your story to everyone else.
So I grew up in the Bronx. So I was influenced and grew up at the Bronx Zoo. And like many conservation biologists, I loved animals from when I was a very little kid. My mom would say that all I talked about was animals. So I knew that zoos were a place, that you could go to learn about animals. But then after university, I did an internship at the Smithsonian at the National Zoo in their research department. And that's where I learned that zoos are a wonderful place to study animal behavior and learn. And I started to learn the connection between zoos and the field. And then when I went to graduate school and started studying tree kangaroos, which is 40 years ago, I was at the University of Washington in Seattle and went to the Woodland Park Zoo because I knew zoos were a good place for research in animal behavior. But I was then introduced to tree kangaroos by the famous Judy Steenberg, who was the lead keeper for Australasia. And what she told me was that nothing was known about tree kangaroos. And my interest was mother-young interactions and behavioral development of the young. And so she said, meet the tree kangaroos. And I had never heard of a tree kangaroo, but I was instantly, thought they were the cutest. But also I learned that they were endangered. And so over the years, I really began to think that zoos play a really important role in conservation and in conservation of wild species. And we have a unique role because we have animals that visitors can come and see and get excited about and form, a bond with. And then we also, like Woodland Park Zoo, we actually do the work in the range countries. So for me, I knew that I always wanted to work at a zoo, be based at a zoo, and then do field work.
That's incredible. And the fact that Woodland Park is where you discovered tree kangaroos and are still at Woodland Park Zoo says everything about the facility and about, their support and all of that. That's incredible.
Yeah, Woodland Park Zoo was known. They were one of the first to get tree kangaroos and to successfully breed tree kangaroos, partly due to Judy Steenberg and others. And I left for a while. I was at Roger Williams Park Zoo, and that's where I really built up my tree kangaroo conservation program in the field. And then I was lucky enough that Woodland Park Zoo started a conservation department, and I came in 2005 to head up that department and bring the program of the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program there. And it's been wonderful. So I'm now over 20 years back at Woodland Park Zoo and really happy to say that we're opening an exhibit this year in 2026 that will feature the work we're doing in Papua New Guinea and also feature the tree kangaroos that we have.
Yeah. So can you take a minute and tell me who your tree kangaroos are?
Sure. Well, we're actually having some changes. Our famous tree kangaroo is Alana. She is the keepers called her sassy. She definitely has a personality, but she's a great mom. But she's older now. She's over 16.
Wow.
And she's had quite a few joeys that are now in other zoos, across the AZA world. And she is a fabulous animal, and she learned, to do pouch checks and all of that. So she's wonderful. I love Alana. We also have Rocket, who is our male, who was born on July 4th. That's how he got his name. And he came to us as a breeding male. And then those are the two that we have now. With the opening of the exhibit, we are getting a few more tree kangaroos. I know at least one is coming from Miami Zoo, and we're really excited, a young female.
Ooh.
And then we're getting some others. And we are also working with the Papua New Guinea government and the Port Moresby Nature Park in Papua New Guinea. We finally have created a partnership and an understanding and an MOU to bring in captive-born tree kangaroos that have been rescued from the wild through the Port Moresby Nature Park. And we have a female that will be exported to Woodland Park Zoo. And so that will be the first tree kangaroo exported from Papua New Guinea since the 1980s.
That's
so it's a
amazing.
very big deal, and it's very important for the population in AZA zoos in terms of genetics.
Yeah, no, that's a huge
deal.
deal. That's a huge deal. And hopefully this won't be a one-time thing, right? Like this is
exactly
the start of it, which is incredible. I actually know multiple facilities that have talked to me. I go to do like an interview about, their drafts or whatever. And they're like, hey, you're on Safe Tree Kangaroo. We're interested in tree kangaroos. And I'm like, oh,
really?
okay. Yeah, I've had a few. I know at least one has reached out to the SSP so far, but it's become this little thing where a couple different facilities have been like, we want tree kangaroos. Can you tell us about them and give us like an idea of just what you know? And I'm like, yeah. And part of it is I know that there aren't a lot of available individuals right now. It's a small population. But if we can start getting more in from the wild, and to be super clear, just for everyone listening, Lisa already said it, but I want to confirm it.
Yeah.
Basically what happens is the adults are rescued. And so then the breeding happens in human care. So they can't be released back out to the wild. But we're not talking about taking animals out of the wild for zoos. We are talking about saving animals that would otherwise not make it in the wild, giving them such a good life at Port Moresby Nature Park that they are able to not only live successfully, but breed successfully. And then their joeys, when it's time for them to move on, they can head to the United States or, well, right now it would just be the States for matchies. But yeah, and that's what we're talking about. And I just want to be super clear on that because we're not talking about taking tree kangaroos out of the wild. That would not be a thing Lisa would do, I would do, anyone would do.
Thank you for making that very clear. We have this wonderful partnership now with Port Moresby Nature Park, and we got a grant from the AZA SAFE program to take animals from private sector or, animals that are in the illegal wildlife trade, anything like that within Papua New Guinea. And I've been working, on the ground. I've had tree kangaroos in my hotel room, with, with the keepers from Port Moresby Nature Park. And then they are carefully brought to the nature park. And what's wonderful is there is actually a tree kangaroo rescue and breeding and conservation center on the grounds of the Port Moresby Nature Park, but it's in a separate area, so it's quiet, and the keepers, really focus on making those animals adapt to a new home and a better life. And I visited, multiple times, and they do such a good job, and the keepers are so great. In fact, you got to meet one of the keepers at the Tree Kangaroo Workshop, Caro, and this little, she's not so little, the tree kangaroo female that may come to Woodland Park Zoo is named after Caro. So we will have Caro coming to Woodland Park Zoo.
Yes, I love that so much. And for those of you that are listening that are fans, right, I nerd out about these things. I'm a fanboy. So I get to the Tree Kangaroo Workshop, and it's the first day. It's the first morning. I walk downstairs, and there is Lisa Dabek. Now, you guys have to understand, I have books written by and about Lisa Dabek sitting downstairs right now, and I've not met this person yet, and I'm nervous. I'm happy to be there, but I'm a little nervous. And what ends up happening is for the first ride over, I end up being the chauffeur because I had a car for both Lisa and Caro. And so there's a person from Papua New Guinea in my car, and Lisa's with me, and I'm just like, do not get in a car accident. Whatever you do not crash. Do not crash. I could wipe out all of Tree Kangaroo Conservation right now if I drive poorly.
I had no idea that you were so nervous.
Only a little bit. I will tell you, the funny thing about it to me is, I'm a professional musician for like my normal job. And I have met my heroes. I have played with some of my heroes. I don't get nervous around musicians, around celebrities, around stuff like that. I don't care. I mean, it's cool. It's nice to get to know them. But in this world, I've dealt with imposter syndrome for so long because I'm a drummer. I'm not Dr. John Rossi. I'm drummer John Rossi. That, meeting people in this world was a lot harder for me early on. And I've gotten over it. Rossifari has had a lot of success and a lot of good things have come from it. But there are still a few people, and you were one of them, that when I met, I was like, oh my God. And it's so funny because who outside of this world would be intimidated to meet you? Like, honestly.
That's so funny. Well, it's always such an amazing time at these tree kangaroo workshops because it's bringing together, the field people, the zoo people, the musicians, all of us, and getting to spend a week, just with everyone. And I love it because I really believe that the heroes are the keepers.
Yes.
Who take care of our animals. And I represent, what we can do in the field. And I always feel at those meetings so much of the teamwork and that we're all about the animals. There isn't the egos. There's not so sorry I intimidated you because I am not someone to be intimidated by.
You are not. Although you did flex a little bit at the beginning. So I don't know if you remember this, but we meet and you're like, oh, you must be John. And I was instantly like, oh, she's so cool. And like, we were chatting for a second. And then I handed out a couple of Red Panda follow bracelets to people who were involved with SAFE, like Davey Ann. And you were like, where's mine? And I was like, oh, I only had these for people in SAFE. And I was like, wait, why am I telling you can't have one? Here, take a Red Panda bracelet. And you go, yeah, why are you telling me I can't have one? And it was so funny. And you laughed. But there was this moment where I was like, holy crap, what are you doing? What is happening?
Well, I am a New Yorker, so I'm pretty straightforward.
Fair. Yes.
And I'm also on the Red Panda SAFE and help them start it. So
yes.
I think that's where I was like, wait a minute.
See, I forgot that because in all of our steering committee meetings, and in the leadership meetings, because I'm one of like the 4 people who put together the plan and everything. And, it was such a small group of people that sometimes you forget that there's the larger ecosystem, and then you end up being like, no, you can't have a bracelet. And then you're like, what is happening?
That is very funny.
But so let's talk about the TKCP a little bit and how that got started. I love, by the way, that it was at Roger Williams, because that is where my love of tree kangaroos, I already love them, but that's where I got to meet them for the first time, and then developed relationships. And Mac and Allison there always let me get some time with them, and we talk, and they've taught me things. And they are a large part of why I am interested in talking to you and why I was at the workshop and all of that. I just love them.
We always say once you meet a tree kangaroo, you fall in love.
You're done.
And then it's, so it makes it easy to sort of get people to be involved in the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program. But the program started in 1996. I had, as soon as I finished graduate school, I went over to Papua New Guinea to see how I could help these endangered animals. And that was in 1994. And I was still in Seattle. I started the program in 1996 with two very small grants from the Calgary Zoo and the Pittsburgh Zoo. It was I think it was a total of $13,000 for doing a whole, year's worth of programming.
Oh, geez.
So first time I went over with Will Betts, who is the original person who I worked with and who became my graduate student. We, had to share a tent. We had one jar of peanut butter. But our goal was to find a place where we could set up a conservation program and really get a good handle on the conservation status of the tree kangaroos. And that's how we ended up in Tep Tep Village in use in Morobe Province in Papua New Guinea. And I'm really happy to say when in November, this last November, so in 2025, I was back in Tep Tep Village for a One Health workshop with volunteer health professionals. And we had a reunion of the first tree kangaroo hunter that led me to see tree kangaroos in the wild, and his cousin, who was the landowner. And we all talked about how it was the tree kangaroos that brought us together. And now almost 30 years later, look at what's happened and look at how much we've accomplished. So it all started in this one village, Tep Tep Village. And really it was Mampave, this tree kangaroo hunter, and his family that let us find tree kangaroos, study them, and then they set some of their land aside for conservation. And that was the beginning of our program. Yeah.
That's incredible. It's such humble beginnings, honestly. I find that absolutely, I love hearing the early stories of stuff like that, and you're just over there sharing a jar of peanut butter in a tent. And now look where you are. That's incredible. Talk about some of the efforts that y'all have been able to get going in the last, years.
Yeah. So the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program started as a way to document the conservation status of the tree kangaroos. And then very quickly, because of the way Papua New Guinea is and the land tenure system, the local people own their forests. They have land rights. It's recognized by the national government. So really, from the very beginning, we realized that what we were going to be, our role was to bring knowledge and, information to help the landowners make decisions about their forests and their wildlife. And so early on, we were advised to look at how to help the communities as well as helping the animals. So we started by doing education. There was a lack of teachers in the schools. There was, we're talking about communities, villages that are very remote. So no road access. We had to fly in to grass airstrips, no electricity. This is very, very remote. And so very early on, we were doing the conservation research, and we started working with the teachers and the educators. And we ended up based on their advice, we set up a teacher training program for local villagers because they had a lack of teachers in their schools and many of the schools were closed. So that was the beginning. And then slowly, when I moved to Roger Williams Park Zoo, I got funding from Conservation International. And then we were able to build up our programs more to start in addition to education program, we started a health program to look at the health of the people as well as the environment and the animals. And then about a decade later, we started a livelihoods program with coffee because they had coffee in their villages, but because they had no roads, it was too expensive to fly the coffee beans out. So they had given up. So we were able to get grants to support them to set up a conservation coffee project. And the first roaster was Cafe Vita here in Seattle. And they really liked the conservation story, like that you can drink coffee that directly supports tree kangaroo conservation. And so we've built up a wonderful coffee program. And then really the culmination in 2009 was creating a conservation area that would be gazetted and recognized by the national government. But the forest is still owned by the local people. And each clan sets aside portions of their hunting land, of their forest, as a safe place. They call it a wildlife bank, where animals are safe to breed. And then the young can disperse into areas where they can hunt animals. And so it creates a sustainable resource, because tree kangaroos are important to the local villagers. They're important as a source of protein. It's the largest mammal in their area. And then they're also really important to them culturally. So they use the tails for headdresses, and they have a lot of stories and dances and music about tree kangaroos. I should share some of the music with you.
Please do. Yeah, I'd be really curious to hear that. I have to ask this question. So you want to save tree kangaroos and you go to Papua New Guinea and you work with these people. Is it hard for you to be like, okay, let's figure out how they can do this so they can still eat tree kangaroos, so they can still, like, when you meet with somebody and you see a tree kangaroo tail wrapped around their head, does it break your heart, or do you understand? Like, what does that do to you personally?
That's a great question. I think it doesn't break my heart. Okay. Because I really believe that, I'm a semi-vegetarian, so I don't eat a lot of meat, but, it's fine to, it is a source of protein. Mm-hmm. And so for these people, this is, they're subsistence hunters. And so who am I to go in and say, stop hunting tree kangaroos, because I want to save them. And then come back home and be able to go to the grocery store and buy, whatever I want to eat. So I think from the very beginning, it was very humbling to do work in Papua New Guinea. And it's one of the things I think that's been very important to me, that I can bring my expertise as a biologist, as a conservationist, but I am in another culture. I need to respect that, and I need to listen. That's a lot of what we do, is listen to what are the needs of the community. And then it's finding, where do we, have common ground. And so, no, when I see the young kids with tree kangaroo tail headbands, I'm really proud of them, proud that they still have their culture intact. And I think I have gotten that question asked in the villages, like, are you telling us not to eat tree kangaroos? And I have to stand up in front of everyone and say, it is fine for you to kill tree kangaroos.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I would have a hard time doing that. I mean, I get it and you've got the experience and you're there, but wow.
Yeah.
I really respect that though, because you're right. If not, they're not going to get on board. And if they're not on board, you're not saving these animals. Like it's not happening. So it makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
and
go
I
ahead.
think conservation in general, the way we approach conservation, and I have many colleagues that do, sort of similar approach. It's so important that we're looking at this is a partnership with the, local communities, and it's helping them to make the right decisions so that they have sustainable living.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So my next question for you about all of this is you got into this because you like animals. And yet when we talk about your project, when we talk about what you've done, it's mostly human focused. And I understand why, and I think most of my listeners understand why. You have to help the people to help the animals, right? And you need the local people on board, and you've explained all that very well. Was that a challenge for you? Was that something that you had to kind of learn and adapt to?
That's another great question because, yes, my passion is tree kangaroos. That's why I love the tree kangaroo workshops because we just have a whole week of talking about tree kangaroos and I'm among my people. And everyone wants to talk about the animals because it's true, over these 30 years, more and more I spend time in meetings, at the embassies, at the government, with sitting in the villages, all of that. I absolutely love when I get to go into the field to our research site and actually, do the research, collar tree kangaroos and so on. But I think more and more, I am wanting to pass that on, to the local biologists. And I think I have a dog, so I get my animal fix. I'm at Woodland Park Zoo, so that's another advantage of being based at a zoo. I'm helping with this new exhibit, and I get to visit the tree kangaroos. So I, over the years, have adapted. It's not about being in a tent in the forest for 2 months. It's about where can I make a difference and the impact. And so I've shifted in that. Plus, I'm getting older.
I don't believe you for a second. I don't. You seem young and sprightly to me. Also, I've met Judy, who is, older still and is still kicking and doesn't miss anything. I'm actually working. I don't know if you know this, but I'm working to try to get Judy on for a full episode. I interviewed her a little bit at the workshop, but it was late at night and she was tired and there were people screaming in the room because there was a basketball game on and like all this stuff. But like she doesn't Zoom. She doesn't know how to do this stuff because she is that, generation. But I am working really hard to try to tell her story because it is such an important story to tell.
I am so happy to hear that because Judy Steenberg is my, mentor, my hero, my friend. In fact, I was just emailing with her this morning.
Nice.
Because we keep up. And she's hoping, that she'll be able to visit the new exhibit. She's done so much. I really, to be able to capture her story, it's so important for the next generation and the next generation to learn from, the elders.
That almost sounded mean when you said it. I saw the little eye roll, but I know what you mean. Elders is a great word for it. Like you're not calling them old, but and that was something that I noticed at the workshop that stood out to me so much. Every one of us, myself included, thanks to Roger Williams Park Zoo, had a story of falling in love with tree kangaroos, but then actually getting involved went back to like 6 people. There were like 6 people that had everybody in that room involved because of them. It's a really small thing. And you may remember there was a student from Friends University who came because I encouraged her to come and mentioned it. And it's like, that's just what tree kangaroo people do. But we need that to be a thing because that's how you keep growing the group.
Yes. And, Judy Steenberg was the one who started the Tree Kangaroo Species Survival Plan for AZA in 1991. And from day one, the group of us, it was always about the animal. It was never about the egos. And we had keepers, we had curators, we had researchers, we had veterinarians. And I would say, and I think you witnessed this at the Tree Kangaroo workshop, it is still true. Like nobody is trying to be, the be all end all. We have a lot of respect. Like you could see the respect for Judy. I felt the respect, for the work I've done. And you're right, there's this core group that keeps growing. And I'm so happy with the SAFE program. So I'm the lead for the Tree Kangaroos SAFE program with Beth from Woodland Park Zoo. And one of the goals of the SAFE program was to get more people involved in tree kangaroos. So Yosani and Amanda and Diana, and they are starting to now be the leads. And that is so fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool to see. And it's that line of, so Diana was doing a poster presentation at the AZA conference 2 years ago, and I was wandering posters. I was there covering it for the podcast, and I saw tree kangaroos, and I was like, oh my God, hi, I love you. And it turned out that she did not have a ton of people interested in the gut health of tree kangaroos for some reason. So we sat and had a whole conversation, and she was like, we need to get you involved in the SAFE. And I was like, I need to get involved in the SAFE. And she dragged me in. And then a year later, I'm dragging someone to the workshop, and like it really is that kind of thing, because tree kangaroos it's a niche, I'm trying to figure out how to navigate that, because one of my roles with the SAFE is I'm helping out with the social media, the Crunchathon. We're looking at doing some merch and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm wearing my Tree Kangaroo hoodie right now, but there's
in purple. I love it.
Yes, I know. It's one of like 4 that I own. I'm pretty lucky, but I'm trying to figure out how to approach bigger companies about a thing where it's not a red panda. If I go to a company and I'm like, hey, sell red panda stuff, they're like, duh, and we're in. And, everyone knows them. But still, one of my biggest videos all time on Rossifari socials is a tree kangaroo eating. That's all that it's doing. It's Morobe at Roger Williams Park Zoo, and he has a problem with one of his digits where it won't close. And as he's eating, it's his middle finger, and he's just casually flicking you off the entire time. And it went viral. Over 10 million people have seen that video. And the number one comment by far was, what is this animal? Is this a real animal? And I got to educate literally millions of people that no one says, what is this to a red panda video, So it's interesting trying to navigate that, because I think tree kangaroos could be the next red panda or anything else. They're adorable. They're wonderful. They're actually super interesting. They fill a unique niche. Like I don't have to tell you this, but but I find it fascinating, but like, I'm trying to figure out how to grow their popularity.
Well, I really appreciate that, because I think that is our goal. Like I always tell people, my goal in life is for everyone to know what a tree kangaroo is. And I think as we're growing, like through this SAFE program, we are growing the awareness. I mean, it's way more than it was, 4 years ago, even with the SAFE program. And now we have World Tree Kangaroo Day on May 21st. And that is it's a global celebration. And it's actually recognized by the Papua New Guinea national government, which is fantastic. And I think it's spreading. I think we were always the little known, but really wonderful, SSP and now SAFE program, and maybe highlighting tree kangaroos with red pandas. I think our zoo will have the first exhibit where they're side by side.
I can confirm that, yes.
Yeah, and I think that will be really, that will also help. And maybe we highlight it that way. If you've seen a red panda, see a tree kangaroo. And I know at Chester Zoo, they're getting a lot of media attention for their new Goodfellows, Joey.
Yes.
And I've been in contact with him because David White, he wants to do more. And I think we just keep plodding along. We keep doing that, but having people like yourself and doing podcasts and really bringing attention, that's what's doing it. I mean, I can tell you in my, years, this is the most that we've ever had.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
really happy. We're like on a great trajectory.
Good. Yeah. And we won't tell the general audience yet, but you and I have talked about a couple of things. I'm talking to some companies. We actually had our engagement and awareness meeting yesterday. David was on
Oh,
there.
really?
I love David. He's such a great dude over at Chester Zoo.
Yeah.
He sent me a little one of their little Goodfellows plushes from England. Just sent it to me just to be nice.
Oh,
He's
how
such a good dude. I
nice.
know. So cool.
Okay, here's a secret.
Okay.
Here's a secret. I won he had sent it for the Tree Kangaroo
Mhm.
workshop, and in the raffles, I won that one. That was the only thing I wanted because I have a collection of Tree Kangaroo plushies. It sits on my bed every day.
Nice. So, not to be a total nerd, but I think I have every tree kangaroo plush that is currently available in the world because I've had people from Australia send them to me. I've had people from David sent it from Chester Zoo.
Oh,
You guys used to have one at Woodland Park, and you don't anymore. It was this
yes.
like kind of shorter one. It's like my favorite. It's the best looking of all of them. We were actually talking yesterday about if we could get Aurora to maybe make a limited batch for Tree Kangaroo Day this year or something because they're the
Yes.
ones that made it.
Well,
We're excited. I love plushes, though. I do. It's a thing.
oh, you'll have to take a photograph of all of yours because I think we might be in competition.
That's fair. That's fair. There's
Okay.
there's one at, this is such a nerdy thing, but you'll get it. I was at Cleveland Metro Park Zoo, talking to Diana and doing a tree kangaroo interview there and, seeing, Rainbow, which was just, oh my gosh, what an adorable Joey. But, I was walking past the hospital because Diana, unlike me, had to do real work that day. So I was just wandering the zoo. And in their vet hospital, they have a stuffed tree kangaroo from like the 80s or 90s. And it has a pouch and it has a Joey. And it's probably the most accurate one that I've seen. And we got permission to go into the vet hospital and take photos of this plush tree kangaroo. So I've been really busy, but my eventual goal is to try to figure out who made it and if they have that stuff. And because it is, because I really think one of the biggest ways to make things popular is make kids fall in love with them. And plushes do that.
Absolutely.
I have this dumb thing that I do. So Target started selling plushes of a bunch of different really cool animals from FAO Schwartz. And they do a red panda. And every time I'm in a Target, countrywide as I'm touring and stuff, I go to the plush section. I get all of the red pandas. I pull them out. I make them look extra adorable. They're facing out. And I've done it at times where I go and do that. And then I go back the next day and they're all gone. All of them, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And I think, as silly as that is, and it is silly at the same time, that's raising awareness. That's 5 new kids who just got a red panda as a best friend. Are they going to care when they get older? Are they going to look it up and find out what that is?
Absolutely.
You never know.
Absolutely. Send me a picture of that plush
I
one.
will. Yeah.
We helped design, Judy and I helped design one. I think it was with K&M at one point, but way back when. There is a new tree kangaroo plushie coming out in Papua New Guinea. It's through Boss Crew,
Okay.
a company that does Papua New Guinea animals. Yeah, and we're hoping Port Moresby Nature Park, JP is going to be buying them. And so we should be able to have them. So I will make sure that you get one.
Amazing. What kind of tree kangaroo is it going to be?
Well, it's a Matchies.
Oh, nice. Okay, because I have the tenkile from that you
Yeah.
can get through the tenkile conservation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we Modi, our director in Papua New Guinea, she and I worked with the Boss Crew company to design it, and they made a really nice plushie, but it was taking a long time for production, but I think Port Moresby Nature Park is buying them. And I'm hoping to bring a whole bunch to Woodland Park Zoo as well, but they're really nice Matchies.
I'm really excited about that. That's
Yes.
really cool. Yeah. Nice. So, There's something I have to ask you about the whole buildup of the TKCP. As fun as it is to talk about stuffed animals, you started off just trying to get a population census, right? And then you got into this helping people and all that stuff, and we understand why that's important. How the heck did you figure out how to ramp up an organization like that? Like, did you ever feel imposter syndrome? Did you ever talk to me about what that was like? Because you guys do so much.
Yeah, I would say that it was slow and steady. And, so many conservation projects get funding for 3 years or 5 years, and they're supposed to do everything within that time. One of the advantages of being based at a zoo was that I could think long term, and I knew that this was going to be at least a 10-year project. And I had models before me. I would say the cotton-top tamarin, a, a, a program under Anne Savage. Anne Savage started it, and Rosemary. I really thought about how, what can be done and how long. I was also very fortunate when I was at Roger Williams Park Zoo to make the connection. It was actually through AZA, Michael Hutchins, who's passed away, but he was head of conservation. He was a supporter, and he put me in contact with Conservation International. I had already had one contact, Bruce Beeler, who was a mentor for me, but we ended up getting a grant. So fairly early on, we became part of what was called GCF, Global Conservation Fund, through Conservation International. There were 38 projects around the world, so 38 conservation projects that got to be part of this program. And the idea is that they would give significant funding to create a protected area, and then they would help to raise an endowment for the program, which was a huge step forward in terms of thinking, and not going just grant to grant, or year to year. And so we could start planning more long term. And that was really the changing point. And so I'm eternally grateful to Conservation International for us being part of that program. Russ Mittermeier was very instrumental, and Bruce Beeler there, and Michael Hutchins. And so that grant, success breeds success,
right?
in our world. And so that allowed us to then get other grants, which gave us this huge German development grant that was focused on climate change, with Conservation International, and then a university in Australia, James Cook University. And that was the turning point for looking at our livelihoods program. And so I think, it started out humbly, just trying to do the research and the conservation, assessment. But we just kind of kept building up. And the other, I think, really important piece was the relationships that we were building and strengthening with the community members. I mean, to be able to have a reunion with people from 30 years ago, in Tep Tep Village in November, for me was so significant, because I've been building relationships, personal relationships, and, community level relationships. And I would always say, and I learned this from a colleague, like, never promise what you can't give. So don't go in and make promises to a community unless you're going to follow through and do that. And so we were very careful. It was really great advice, because we were very careful to say, like, this is for you. The decisions you make are your decisions. If we help you with coffee, this is going to be your program. If you set land aside, it's still your conservation area. So I think that's what allowed us to grow. And then sometimes it was a leap of faith, of like, really? Am I really running an almost $1 million program right now? And having staff members but we've also been really fortunate, like the people who have worked with Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program, former staff member, current staff members. We have, there's been some that haven't worked out, but there are some really amazing people. And I never say this is me, it's because of me. It is really, a team. We have Modi Pontio, who's the director in Papua New Guinea. She's the leader there. And we really learned that during COVID, because as soon as COVID started, the pandemic, I couldn't travel to Papua New Guinea for 3 years. And I was used to going every year or twice a year. And she took leadership. The program continued. And that's where I learned, like, this is not just me. I mean, I knew that before, but I really felt more secure that we are on solid ground and this program is moving forward.
That's very cool. I like that a lot. Yeah, I'm just so impressed by it. I'm impressed by all of it. There's never a moment since I started learning about this, about your work, that I haven't just been like, heck yeah, that's awesome. And it's very cool. Now, there's something that you do, and actually a lot of tree kangaroo people do this, and I've noticed it. And I've noticed it because I talk to zoo people and conservation people all the time, and there's some of this, but I have never heard as much name dropping as I do with tree kangaroo people. But it's the opposite of like, normally when you say name dropping, it's like, oh, I met this famous person, blah, blah, blah. Right. But instead it's giving credit to as many people as you can. And you all do it. And I'm wondering, I know this is a weird question, but where does that culture come from?
Oh, that's so interesting. I think that it comes from the fact that same way the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program in the field was grassroots, from the bottom up, from the community up. The tree kangaroo species survival plan and the whole focus on saving tree kangaroos in zoos came from a keeper, Judy Steenberg. It did not come from a CEO. It did not come from a curator. Although it was also Larry Collins. I'm going to drop another name. He was the curator of small mammals at Front Royal at the National Zoo, it's Smithsonian. He was really the first one, and Judy started working, with Larry Collins. And Front Royal had 20 tree kangaroos back in the 80s and 90s. That's where I did my dissertation research, because 20 animals and no one knew anything about their reproduction. It was incredible. So I think it was always pretty humble. I mean, I have witnessed many different, conservation programs and SSPs and tags and all that. And I see a lot of difference, but I agree with you. I think ours is a very humble, and maybe because tree kangaroos, we're not gorillas, we're not, elephants, we are, small, unknown animals. And so there's a real just love of them, but also recognizing, they count too. And so I think many of the people that are attracted, our colleagues that are attracted to working with tree kangaroos are also kind of humble, like they care about the animal. Like you feel it, I'd rather talk about tree kangaroos than talk about myself.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
real.
I think it's partly, and it's another reason why I love working at zoos, is to work with the animal care staff, because they are the ones that every single day they're interacting, with the tree kangaroo or the red panda or whatever animal.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are coming to the end of our time, which is killing me because I could chat forever. But a couple of things. So first of all, you mentioned this new habitat that's going to be opening, this new exhibit that I remember when you guys announced it, and that was years ago, because these things take forever. I remember I went to my wife Zoe and I was like, babe, Woodland Park's opening an exhibit for me. And she was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "It's a red panda tree kangaroo habitat. They made one for me." So thank you for that.
No problem.
But yeah, when again, you said it's opening in May, right? And
Yes.
tell people a little bit more about what they're going to see there.
Sure. Well, we're really excited at Woodland Park Zoo to open our new exhibit. It's called Forest Trailhead, but it is highlighting tree kangaroos, red pandas, and then we also have Kias, the wonderful
Nice.
parrots from New Zealand. And the whole idea of this exhibit is to finally, after a decade, to show the world tree kangaroos and also highlight the work of the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program, since it is the signature program of Woodland Park Zoo. So finally, we get to tell our story where people can see the animals and then learn about our conservation work. It's a beautiful new building. There's a lot of space for interpretives, highlighting our coffee project. But it's also talking about the importance of forests around the world, in the Pacific Northwest, and then in Nepal for red pandas, and in Papua New Guinea. And so we're very excited. Yeah, so May 2026 is when it is opening.
Awesome. Very good.
Yeah. One other
yeah.
piece about this exhibit, because I can keep going on, is that we also have a cultural element to this exhibit. We have been, TKCP has been doing an exchange with the Lummi Indian Nation in Washington State to do cross-learning of indigenous-led conservation. So we've also been incorporating the art of a local Lummi artist, and then we have an artist in Papua New Guinea who is carving story poles that are also going to be outside in the exhibit. So there is a cultural element as well.
That's so cool. I love it. I probably won't look at any of those things when I get there because I'll be too busy looking at the tree kangaroos and red pandas. But I'm proud of you for, no, I'm kidding. I actually am the nerd that reads the signage and does all the things. That's awesome. Great. Oh, I'm so excited about this. I can't believe it's opening. Like I said, it's so long. I can't even imagine how it feels for you guys who have been in the trenches.
Actually, since 2018.
Wow.
So what is that? 8 years that we've been talking about it. Alejandro, our CEO, I brought him to Papua New Guinea. He went to the Port Moresby Nature Park and he got really inspired. And that was the beginning of talking about this exhibit.
That's so cool. Awesome. Well, how can people support TKCP, SAFE, you, all the things?
Great. The Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program, we have a website. It's www.treekangaroo.org. You can also Google tree kangaroos and you'll easily find the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program, or through Woodland Park Zoo. We have ways to donate to the program. But I always say the most important thing is learn about tree kangaroos. Google tree kangaroos, and the more you learn, the more you'll care. The more you care, the more you'll support us. And then also we have coffee. So if you're a coffee drinker, like most of us in Seattle, you can get coffee through either Cafe Vita, but also in Lincoln, Nebraska, there's the Mill, which we all got to drink the coffee when we were there. More and more, there is coffee available that's connected to our program, and you can learn about that also through our website. We also have a Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn page, so you can learn more, connect with us, follow us. And then come to our new exhibit at Woodland Park Zoo and learn about us.
Absolutely. And last but not least, it's time. It's time now, don't you know? We've come to the end of the show. But there's one tale left to go. You're gonna laugh and say, oh no. It's time for the Rossifari poop story.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yes. So, okay, I was in our field camp this is in the forest, the cloud forest in Papua New Guinea, where we study the tree kangaroos. We do radio collaring. And we spent about 3 weeks in the forests, living in tents. We had a veterinarian to care for the animals for when we captured them, etc. One day we were walking along the river and I felt like something like a piece of wood or, like some dirt went in my eye. And that night I got into my tent and it was still bothering me. And so I looked with a little mirror and a flashlight and I realized there was a leech in my eye attached to my eyelid.
No.
So what do you do? Well, right next door, the tent next door was the veterinarian and Janet. And so she made a house call, a tent call. And she came in and she used tweezers and she got that leech off of the inside of my eyelid.
Oh.
And I've always been grateful to her, but that was the grossest thing ever happened to me. So there are, risks when you do field work studying tree kangaroos.
Oh my God, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. Wow. Okay. Well, on that note, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much. And thanks for telling our stories. It's so important.
Thank you. All right. And then the moment that you've been waiting for, if you remember going all the way back to the beginning of this episode, I want to tell you what one of the prizes is going to be for this raffle, this fundraiser, this, call it whatever you will. And that is that I did some digging after my conversation with Lisa, and I was able to find a mint condition, still with tags, plush Matchie's tree kangaroo that she and Judy Steenberg designed with K&M back in 1998. The one that we talked about in this episode that I saw at Cleveland Metro Parks Zoo. And it has the tags on it still. It's an AZA species survival plan tag and the K&M tag. And it is a mother Matchie's tree kangaroo that has a pouch, and in the pouch is a joey, which is a finger puppet. It still has the tail and the arms, but then it goes down to a finger puppet, and it fits into the pouch. It is one of the cutest things I have ever seen in my entire life. I don't even have the words for how much I love it. So that's going to be the main prize of the raffle. And you can get that by voting for the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program on Project for Awesome starting at noon the day this episode drops. You can get one entry, and then I'll be posting additional rules on how to get additional entries on my social pages. So please check those out. I want to thank you all for listening. I want to thank you all for supporting my ridiculous love of tree kangaroos. And I especially want to thank my patrons, especially my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Schenk, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, Jenny Owens, Melissa Reed, Carrie Kirkpatrick, John Lewis, who is also here for stickers, Kevin Williams, and Cormac McMuffin. Meow. We'll be back on Friday with a new episode of Zoo News. But until then, go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. Oh, and remember, friends, the word credits backwards is Steiderk. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo. Hey, you're still here? I wasn't kidding. Go, vote.